Okay, welcome everybody. Let's call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Here.
Mr. Kubicki?
Here.
Mr. Brokamp?
Here.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is tough. Before we get started with our regular meeting, we want to cover a couple current event topics. First of all, with heavy heart, I want to go pay tribute to our beloved County Auditor, Bridget Kelly, who lost her battle with cancer last week. Her funeral was today. And as you see me dressing a bit casual, and some of us trying to pay homage by wearing a little bit of green, as a bit of a tribute to Bridget, as she loved to wear her Kelly green. That was her trademark. Bridget was near and dear to our heart here in Columbia Township, because before she became our county auditor, she was our state rep from 2017 to 2022, representing parts of Columbia Township, including the great neighborhood of Madison Place. So many of us have worked with her, with Bridget, for a long, long time. When I think of the words to describe Bridget, she was a great person and everything you want in a leader. She was approachable, engaged, responsive, and authentic. She had a great sense of humor that could light up a room, but she was also a consummate professional. She has this, had the distinguished honor of being on two of our podcasts, not one. She's probably the only one that's been on two. Because first she was on as our state rep and then as our new auditor. And she really loved all the new things that we were doing and loved being a part of it, and really appreciated working with everybody, and got to know a little bit of everybody in our community, and really enjoyed seeing us grow. I actually took a moment to listen to our latest podcast we did a few months ago with Bridget, and just to get her enthusiasm as I kind of wrote these words, and just a few things, Bridget, just kind of to lighten the mood, because she was such an upbeat personality. It put a smile on my face just listening to her positive energy. I got to know Bridget a bit when she would come to our events over the years in Madison Place, in her trademark green, of course, and always smiling. She really appreciated all the great things we were doing to what she considered to be her community. I actually got a call from Bridget when we got to know each other about the new car dealership expansion over in Madison Place, the Porsche expansion, and she said she'd really like to be informed and get involved and kind of just know what's going on in the community. I said, if you really want to get involved, you can come with me and join me tomorrow morning. I actually got a meeting with the ownership group tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. She said, I'd love to meet those guys, but unfortunately I can't make it because I'm babysitting my baby niece. And I know she was a great aunt to those nieces, and that was important to her. Then she said, well, wait a minute. Do you think it would be okay if I brought my baby niece? I really want to stay informed, and I'd love to meet these guys. I said, I'm good with it if you are. And I thought, wow, I really like this lady. She's ready to go beyond the call of duty. Then here I am in the Porsche dealership with the owners, and in comes Bridget, dressed in her bright green top, her bright green top on, with her baby niece in tow. And I thought, she didn't have to be there to do that, but that was Bridget. She was going to come no matter what. And what's amazing to me is I thought she wasn't there with a fake hard hat on, posing for pictures, looking at fake plants. She was there with her baby niece, trying to get involved with the community. And I thought, you know what, she's authentic. Then when Bill Woosty and Jim Woodall, the principals of the Porsche dealership, said, let's go outside and see what we're doing firsthand, some of the great things they're doing, the landscaping, the screening, the compromise they made to make the dealership look great for the community. She said it might be a bit cold out. It was raining a bit to take the baby outside for the bar, so maybe we shouldn't go. And I said, well, you've come this far. I've got 5 kids. I'll have a look at the baby. I'll watch the baby. She said, I'm good with it if you are. So there I am in the Porsche conference room with my cup of coffee, having a conversation with Bridget's baby niece. And I'm reflecting, thinking, what do you say? And I thought, you know, the reason why you got stuck with me is because 2 people's silly idea to get involved with politics. So your aunt will explain that later. But I was so grateful that she took the time to come. And the owners were so grateful to the dealership that they really loved her, and how refreshing to have a leader decide to get that involved and that engaged in the community and understand all the facts of what was going on throughout the community. Bridget and I always bonded over that day, the extra steps she took and the appreciation she had of me actually babysitting. She made a big deal out of it, even if it wasn't that big of a deal, but she always got a kick out of it. Whenever I'd see her, we'd always have a laugh and said, talk about shaking hands and kissing babies. Then when she was up for election, she asked if I would come to her event, and I said, sure, I will. I well remember it was in Pleasant Ridge, and I wrote Caroline Heekin into going. I said, that's right in your neighborhood. You need to come with me here to the lovely Bridget Kelly's event. So we came to join. And I think when Bridget saw us, she was surprised we actually came and politely asked us. When I speak, I usually announce the elected officials in attendance names. Do you mind if I announce you both, or will that hurt you politically? I said, Caroline and I both laughed and agreed and told her we're honored to be announced, and are both big fans of Bridget Kelly. She's just a lovely, wonderful soul. So of course she announced our names. Then we had a great time. And as I said, I listened to our podcast. I well remember when she came in to do it, she was dressed in her bright green. She walked in, which is the breath of fresh air. She was excited about her new county auditor's position. She was excited that T-Swizzle, Taylor Swift, was coming to town and how much it was going to do for the county. And she was going to go to the concert. I said, well, I'm a Swiftie too. And then when she got into the podcast, she was a pro. I remember asking her the question I had in mind, and it was, how do you plan to improve the auditor's office? Your passion, what's your plan to improve it and kind of make it better? And she was never critical, always positive. And she always loved Dusty Rhodes, the former auditor who had been there. And she said, I look at things as being great, and can we make them and take them from great to greater? And that was her way. And I thought that was Bridget. That kind of sums her up. That's who she was. She was just great, and she wanted everything to be greater. Always positive, always upbeat. Bridget Kelly, we'll miss you. 40 years old, too soon. And yes, you always made things greater. My thoughts and prayers go out to her, her family, her friends, everybody. I can't even believe it. And, we'll try to put the podcast up on our Facebook site. You can get a little breath of her fresh air and her energy. And it's a sad loss, and it's tough because she was so young. That said, I don't know if anybody wanted to add to this or what have you.
It's hard to top what you just said. That was beautiful. So well said. Thank you. I didn't know her nearly as well as you, but I had I was amazed that I met her a few times, and she was always positive. And I know that a couple times that we met her, she was going through cancer treatment. She never complained about it. You would never know it. And in a weird way, she's kind of a mentor to me because of. She didn't care if you were a Republican or a Democrat. She did not care. She looked at you as a human being, and she looked past if there were a letter beside your name. And she helped me with campaign advice, and she'd walked the hills in Madison Place and gone door to door like I had. And I thought I was just amazed by that and felt a little bond with her. But well said. She's an incredible woman, and it's a huge loss.
And you see that in all the things people have to say about her, what a positive person she is. If any of you guys have anything you want to add to that?
Do you mind if I?
No, I'll go after you.
So it's not well known in Ohio, but townships don't actually have final control over their budget. So staff with Fiscal Officer Heekin, we develop the budget annually, and then we bring it to public hearing for discussion, and then the trustees review and vote on it to approve it, but it's actually to approve it to be forwarded to the county to be reviewed and approved. The county auditor is a partner with administration of all of the townships. We talk with someone at the county auditor's office by phone, by email, or some other communication weekly, twice weekly. They are super professional and extremely responsive, and they have so much on their plate. Because I've had several roles in communities and in the private sector before coming here, I have decades of experience. Whenever there is a change in leadership, especially after one like Dusty Rhodes with the decades, and then you have a new person walk in, I have experience with different agencies from county to the state where there's a major change in leadership, and it is impossible for months, sometimes half of a year, to know who's in what seat, and to get someone to answer the phone and someone to be responsive and someone, frankly, to do their job. Because a lot of times people come in, clear out the top tier, plug their own people into the seat, and they may not necessarily know what they're doing. I will tell you, day one, we knew exactly who was on first. My attempt at a sports metaphor. Under Bridget Kelly's leadership, and the people who work with us are professional, responsive, knowledgeable, and if they fall behind on something, they say, we're so sorry, we've been a little bit busy, but we're going to make sure that we get to this. They actually treat us like customers, when in fact we're beholden to them for the approval for the budget. So it's more of a kind of child-parent or, you know, subordinate-boss relationship. And she ran a class, she's a classy lady, a class act agency. And it makes things so much easier for us when we know that we have a partner instead of someone who's just, here we go again, the township's reaching out to us. So thank you, Bridget.
I would just add, I wasn't privileged to know her as well as the rest of you, but I knew of her and her example, and that's it's important that we recognize that example of excellence. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, I happened to speak with David a little bit earlier today, and shortly after my conversation with him, I remembered that this is actually the 4th anniversary of my father's passing. And I remember on that day when he passed, one of the first things that I said to my kids is, you know, we need to pick up his torch. And we need to do that with Bridget as well, her example of excellence. The best way to honor her memory, and everyone else's, is to pick up their torch and carry on for them in their style.
I like it, and that's trying to make things great to greater, and not sit there and criticize what we have. Let's take you know, inventory of the great things we have and continue to make them greater. So, incredible inspiration. Gone too soon, Bridget, to her family. We're gonna miss you. That's a tough one, especially losing somebody that young and somebody you really felt we might be working with for a long, long time. So it's tough. Okay. Always hard after that to segue into the business of the township, but we're going to do it. So, okay, here we go. The other thing we did want to talk about before we got started with the meeting is want to get out in front of, before the meeting got started, the major storm event or major weather event, whatever you want to call it, that hit Ohio and Kentucky and much of Hamilton County and obviously parts of Columbia Township. Obviously, when you hear on the radio, the news, an event like this, a weather event's coming, many businesses and schools close, you brace for it, you hope it passes, you hope it doesn't hit, you hope they swing and miss. But I know some in our great township were hit by it, and much of our team has been there to help, including our fire chief, our sheriff's department, our field and maintenance crews. Obviously, our administrator's been on this nonstop. Brian Lamar, our trustee's taken the lead on this because it's his community that got the hardest, and he's taken a great leadership role and been there on site firsthand. So Brian and Melissa have taken the lead on that. So I'm going to kind of pass off Melissa to start with to give us a little bit of an overview of what you need to say, and Brian, you can fill in as well, and I'll let you guys take the lead on that. And thank you for your great service and everything you guys done and keeping us all in the loop.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, especially on behalf of staff. I'd like to start and say that all of us who work in Columbia Township, and including those of you who are our leadership, we all have homes. We all experience events with our homes. I experience flooding events at my home, the one I have now, and then also when I lived in Columbia Township, I lived at the bottom of a hill, which is similar to what the situation is in Madison Place. And I have had the house that I currently live in a neighboring township. I'm on a hill, and so I've had basement flooding twice. So the first thing that I think of is a pit in my stomach for the people who are going to potentially, during a storm, experience an impact to their house. And then I shift into gear. As the township administrator, what we do in advance of incoming storms. We have protocols in place that Dustin and his team capably lead. In advance of storms, we monitor them for days, and then we do advance work the day of. And then after the crew worked all day, and we worked all day, as we were leaving for the evening when the major evening system hit, Brian Lamar reached out on phone and initiated our emergency response. Brian issued an emergency declaration for the township, which enables us to bring in our crew and take action. And immediately Dustin called in the crew, and then called police, called Little Miami Fire, and we initiated basically a multi-agency response. Our responsibility as the township is for rainfall that falls on our road system. You know, our road systems are built to collect rainfall and direct it downstream to the county system or downstream to the ODOT system, depending on what system connects to ours. So our crew saw, as Brian, and then I know that the other trustees, I was on the phone with you, Dustin was on the phone with you, you were on the phone with different crew members as well, that what type of a coordinated response did we want to make, because it was widespread. We had issues in Madison Place, and then we also had issues on Worcester Lane along US 50 to the east. And that storm was mainly, or all, overland flooding from private property and Indian Hill property down into Madison Place. So what we mobilized with was, you know, assuring safety of individuals through police and fire after the storm passed, and then immediately we began cleaning the road and clearing debris. The crew worked into the night that night, came back into work at 6:30 again the next morning, worked all day yesterday, came back in today. They have not had a full night's sleep since the storm event. I'm sure a lot of the residents haven't either, because this community matters so much to them. We have already, as of this afternoon, hauled away 7 loads of debris, and then street sweeping. And to try to do it more quickly, we borrowed an additional sweeper from Sims, who's always so amazing to loan us equipment. So we, although our jurisdiction is limited to the public roadway, we always have wanted for the residents, and you set the standard as the trustees, and we deliver this from the heart of the employees, that Hamilton County has a stormwater district, and there are numerous resources that are available through Hamilton County Emergency Management, whom we contacted as well, and were able to be put in touch with some nonprofit groups that offered to come out and do some assistance to people on private property. So we basically run a command center the last 48 hours, coordinating all that, and those teams and those people are in the field as well. We want to connect our residents to resources that are beyond what we're able to legally provide. And so I think this was the most extensive that we did with this recent event, and with the help of Hamilton County Emergency Management, and then connecting to disaster response teams who, as I said, are started working in the neighborhood today. And so I'm so proud of our guys. One of them had a family matter that he really needed to take care of, and he stepped away to work, and that really touched me. And I appreciate that, and if he watches this, he knows who he is. And they all just bust their tail, and they almost look like walking zombies, but they do it because they know that people have been hurt in a storm. And they want the roads clear and clean, and they want people to have access to resources. So I am so proud to be a part of this township, and even though we don't have the authority to come onto private property or to go into private homes, we receive calls all day long, not just from storm events, but other calls. Residents will say, how do I? I've said that before. What we hear more than anything is, how do I? And we always want to have an answer, whether it's us or somebody else. And so we're kind of, making connections. So
you can see in the heart and soul of the crew, and it's nice to pay tribute and homage to them, because they care, and those guys have gone beyond the duty. And Brian, I know you had a first-hand look at that this whole weekend. You kind of said to me, it's amazing to see it all work together. So why don't you tell us what you've seen?
Yeah, I have some notes, so I'll just kind of go through that. But first I want to acknowledge a lot of people are hurting right now, right? We all know that, but I wanted to acknowledge that. And I've spoken to dozens of people in the community, and worked from home the last few days, and just I watch, people carrying out stuff, and I watch all these emergency vehicles, and I watch all of this. It's really bad what's happening down there. I mean, fortunately, people are living, it could be a lot worse, right? But, 3 doors down to me, water to the ceiling of her basement. Next door to her, they have 3 little girls, twins, and I think she's about 6 years old, and very young twins. 5 feet of water, and I watched them carry out little girls' toys and clothes today and bikes that were ruined into a dumpster, and that was just really sad. And that guy is just the most positive person in the world. He said it could always be worse and didn't really ask for anything. And the sense of community has just been amazing. 2 doors down on the other side, another new neighbor just moved in, 3 kids below 10, one's a newborn. They had 3 feet of water in their basement. They just refinished, and I asked her what she needed, and she said a babysitter so she could finish cleaning. And that's all she wanted, was someone to help her hold her baby so she could finish cleaning.
I was thinking.
Where's David? I didn't know that.
David's available.
David's available.
I'm not current anymore. My kids have gotten older.
So, watching people rally, I'm gonna echo a lot of what Mel said about the thank yous that I witnessed firsthand. The neighbors in the community, I can't even speak. People talk about pride in a neighborhood, and I saw people step up. People drove to Madison Place to where they knew this damage was occurring and helped out. No one had an ego. No one was blaming anybody. No one was even angry. They were just getting it done. So to the people of Madison Place, I'm so proud of being in that neighborhood and working with them. You said multi-agency response, and let me tell you, it was certainly a multi-agency response. The Sheriff's Department Officer Mitch Bruiser was there, and he was amazing how he communicated. And I know we went into the school and checked to see the school damage because it's spring break and they didn't have no one was around to check access to it, and so he wanted to make sure he got in, and he was checking on everybody and making sure everything was okay, and made a point to ask what I needed before we left. The fire department is just amazing. Chief Sifke came down, and I couldn't be any more thankful to Chief Sifke. He came down in plain clothes, and you wouldn't know he was a fire chief. He was helping anybody just like any other neighbor. And what I loved about them was a sense of calm and a sense of, you could tell how well they're trained. And to Captain Thompson and that team, they left their fire hose there that night so they could remove water. They just said, take the fire hose and we'll come get it in the morning, and helped out for hours. And that was just amazing to see. The road and maintenance community, road and maintenance crew, we talk about them almost every meeting about how good they are, but you really see people's character during a crisis like that. And I talked to almost everybody in our crew. I saw them all working, and so much they had a methodical plan, and they were confident. And that helped ease a lot of concerns when they see the confidence of our team that unfortunately been through this before. And I can't tell you how many neighbors I heard that thank you, that they were working late that night. And we had a street sweeper out within an hour of this storm. I guarantee you we were the first and only people out trying to get a little bit of cleaning done that night, and helping out with neighbors and doing the best they can, working late at night after another long day. I couldn't think, it's just amazing the work they did. And then the admin staff, you all, we had dozens of texts that night, and it all starts at the top. And you lead by example, and I think David and Mel are leaders in this, and it falls on the rest of us to emulate that. And I think the main thing I want to say is I'm so proud to work on this team. Everybody has integrity, and everybody thinks of the greater good for the community, and we all play a small part in it. And it's just, I can't tell you how proud I am for everybody to be just part of this. The bar is set high. We talked on the phone, I think it was yesterday. We've talked so many times, I'm not sure when, but you said the bar is high, and it certainly is high in this community, and it starts with you all.
Well, as you mentioned, the actual work itself is part of it, but it reminds me even the COVID response we have at some of our restaurants. Them just knowing that somebody was there, it gave them hope. And so my point is, you're just sitting there by yourself in a catastrophic event like that, and you're thinking, what do I do? And this is over my head, and you have a group of people like the fire team and the police chief, and obviously the trustees, administration. Obviously it's a catastrophe for the people involved, but it is nice to see that all hands are on deck. So kudos to our team. You deserve it. They're great. And I know, Steve, you've said since you've joined on board how great you've seen this team, and there's all good people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that said, we've kind of covered that, and now we'll go on after those two big hits there. We'll go on and go on with our regular meeting agenda. So I make a motion for the approval and the signing of the meeting minutes, the regular meeting minutes of March 12th, 2024. Do I hear a second?
I wasn't here. I don't think I can second it.
I thought you'd second it because you weren't here.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you read over them.
I did read them. I watched it.
No, I'll second that.
Roll call.
So, wow, so nice. Mr. Lamar?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brogan?
Yes.
Okay. I obviously can see there's nobody here for open forum. Is there any other thoughts, or you got something to say?
Yes, I have an email. This is from Heath Greathouse. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I have two. Brittany Eckstein on Hurd Avenue. One says, thank you to the crew who already came down Hurd and sucked up leaves washed down from the woods Tuesday night. And then Keith on Wooster Pike, Keith Greathouse on Wooster Pike. Hello, I wanted to give a sincere thank you to the Township Road crew. They are always going above and beyond for residents, and it does not go unnoticed. We appreciate being able to be a part of the leaf compost and wood chip delivery each spring. In all the places I have lived, Columbia Township has been the, just like the Ohio State, all capitals, best! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Always
We'll have to
pleasant to
adopt
hear. You
that.
guys can keep those good comments coming. Okay, with that, we move on to right back at you here again, fiscal officer report with the lovely Ms. Heekin.
Which I do not have a report since we're a little early.
Okay.
We can't close the accounting network just a few days after the end of the month, so I will have a report at the next meeting, but if anybody would like to see that before the next meeting to review it, please email me or call the office and make that available.
Okay. Any questions about the road superintendent's report?
I think we are missing road superintendent and administrator reports because of the activities of the last 2.5 days. So
Okay,
we'll
so
catch up on those
We're
things.
going to catch up on both those.
Next
Okay.
time.
Then, all right, then we move on to the police report with Lieutenant Nader.
I only have one thing, it's just another reminder, April 27th, the DEA drug take back. It's going to be 10 to 2 at the Silverton substation on Montgomery Road, 6943 Montgomery Road. And that's all I have for this month.
Okay. Then we move on to the fire reports with the Little Miami Fire District and the Deer Park Silverton Fire District. With the great Denny Meter in the audience, say hello.
Appreciate Chief to be here. Yeah.
And then Chief Sipke said that he had a conflict this evening.
Probably out saving lives or fighting fires. So Chief Meter let me know that April 1st of this year was the 25th anniversary of the Deer Park Silverton Fire District, and that's just a really good accomplishment. I know there's a lot of people that still work there that were part of before the fire district was created, so I think it's great leadership when you have people that work at the same fire station for so long. So thank you to Chief Meter. For Little Miami, Chief Sifke said there's CPR training for the layperson, that's his language, not mine, to be held on April 11th at 6:30 p.m. in Fairfax at the Fairfax Recreation Center. It's next to the municipal building. Another one will be in May, but that date's TBD. And we will eventually have that in Columbia Township. Hopefully in about a year from now, we'll be doing that in Columbia Township. That's all.
We will.
Sometimes they call it CPR for dummies.
Yeah.
Those books that are written about. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, and congratulations, Denny, on a great, well-respected fire department. You well-respected and do a great job as always. All right, any questions about communications?
I'd like to share a few things.
Okay.
I'll just pass these around if that's okay. We have some of the really sad pictures from around the region for the storms. You may have seen all that on your social media feed. The next communication is that recreational marijuana, after years of saying medical, I have to drop that, even though that will continue. So recreational marijuana sales timeline has been updated, and I actually spoke, let me pass these around. I actually spoke with one of our dispensaries today who said that because they have the right to, as a medical marijuana dispensary, which we've talked in detail about before, they have the right to become a dual dispensary is the terminology, where they will also sell recreational. He said that according to the State House, that they're going to be able to be operational as early as July. All of the details of the fees and the taxes will not have been worked out by then, but that they're going to be operational. And he got that directly from the State House. So that was an update as of about an hour ago. And then 50 West Brewery was in the news twice. I'm gonna need glasses. The Courier listed the largest Cincinnati area breweries by total barrels sold last year, and 50 West Brewing Company was 6th. So I'll pass that around. And then also, when the social media featured the Reds opening day, certain restaurateurs were selected to provide signature items for the Great American Ballpark, and prominently featured was 50 West's loaded nacho cheese dip burger, which is like this high. Get ready for baseball and ballpark grub. I thought that was really nice. So 50 West was a twofer this month, and I'll pass that around. And that's communications. And then, of course, Lauren always does multiple Facebook posts and such.
Have you done the loaded double nacho cheeseburger? Doesn't seem like it'll be up your alley, but that's all right.
I love burgers. I love nachos. Don't know that I can get that down in one sitting. No, I'm up for it. Was that a challenge?
And kudos to Slattery and Charlie and the gang for always bringing good news and a good brand that we are proud to call our homeland resident.
Yeah.
And they're doing great things.
And they're great people.
And they're great people. They are. All right, then we move on to resolutions. Melissa, we're going right back to you.
All right, let's rock and roll. We have our second supplemental appropriation of the year, Resolution 2407. A brief reminder that whenever we need to adjust the budget for new revenue unexpected or new expenses unexpected, we bring those to the board. So I'm asking for to supplement the Columbia Township 2024 annual appropriation, which was passed in December of 2023 for this year, and also the prior supplemental appropriation resolution 2403, asking that the board approve a couple of items noted on the resolution. Any questions? May I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I make a motion we approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kibicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokamp?
Yes.
And that's a one reading only and approved. The next resolution, 2408, is the first reading. We will not vote. We're introducing this. There'll be a 30-day public comment period, and you'll vote at the May meeting. Designating on-street parallel parking spaces on the south side of East Murray Avenue between Plainville Road and Berwick Avenue. So Ohio Revised Code as well as Ohio Home Rule, we have both of those in Columbia Township, authorizes the trustees to establish and regulate parking on public streets and public right-of-ways for safety. And specific to the Madison Place Firehouse redevelopment project, when I started in 2020, it was misunderstood that the south side of Murray belonged to Marymount and the north side to Columbia Township. In fact, there had been a road improvement at some point where only one side of the road had been improved. And I requested a right-of-way survey for the road so that we would know exactly the boundaries that we needed for utility extensions and other matters with the redevelopment of the firehouse, and discovered that Columbia Township owns the entire road. Well, there is a need for additional parking on Murray. It had never been striped, and because of it not being known that that was our right-of-way. So our transportation engineer, TE Engineering, who does so many wonderful things for us, studied the road and considered residents as they are pulling in and out of their driveways, and was able to legally designate 9 on-street parallel parking spaces. So this is the first reading. I'm happy to answer questions. If anyone has questions that may come up from the community, we're happy to answer those through a call. If you receive any, feel free to refer those to me. We'll vote next month on this, and then we are required by law to post temporary signs that there will be new on-street parking spaces in this location for 30 days, and then we receive feedback from that, and then it is finalized. So there's a legal process that we follow here. So are there any questions for that?
Nope.
Okay, that was a good finding.
Yeah, very good.
And then obviously when the Murray Path is extended, and there may need to be changes by Marymount to some of their perpendicular parking spaces, we can consider some realignment, relocation of these. But in the interim, because we're probably talking about 3 years or so before that happens, we will have these new spaces. All right, I'll set that aside. And you'll see there's a map on your the back of your resolution. The next resolution is 2409, authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into a contract with Terracon for construction materials testing and installation for the Madison Place Firehouse redevelopment project, and dispensing with the second reading. So I'm asking the board to act on this tonight, and we will dispense with the second reading. So the Township, as everyone is aware, is redeveloping the firehouse. It is construction industry best practices that you have a third-party independent inspector of materials and material installation where they are most crucial to the safety of the structure and the individuals who will be using the structure. And typically those are steel, concrete, and the like, and masonry. And so our township project manager sought proposals for this testing of the construction materials, and of the respondents, he recommends Terracon. We received a proposal, of the proposals, Terracon proposes to perform for us foundation monitoring and testing, so that's pouring the foundation for the firehouse, particularly the new elevator shaft, reinforced cast-in plate concrete observations and testing, structural steel observations and testing, and masonry installation and monitoring, and, but wait, there's more, special inspection reporting. And when I saw the price, I thought, I don't know that we've ever gotten that much for this. So $12,750. It's really excellent. Terracon is a national company and happens to have a office in the Cincinnati region. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
I make a motion to approve it. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokamp?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second to dispense with the second
Make a
reading.
motion we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokamp?
Yes.
And there's a 10-page proposal in detail,
Okay.
if anyone has nothing to do.
Easy read.
Easy reading.
I have faith in you.
All right, thank you for that. So the 2 to go. Resolution 2410, authorizing the administrator to enter into a contract with Bryan Christian Landscaping for street tree watering services as part of NED, our Neighborhood Economic Development Program, Phase 2, and dispensing with the second reading. This is our final action for our NED program. So recall, I know, well, hopefully we'll have funds to do another major community investment, but this was a community changing, as we've talked many times over the years. So in 2021, you the trustees, with our first ever medical marijuana host community revenue sharing, chose to reinvest the entire amount for that year back into our neighborhoods. And we've talked many times, I won't go into detail again, about all of the different options that the neighborhoods had, both regular neighborhoods and neighborhoods with HOAs, about investing in their neighborhood with the things that were most important to them. Specific to the street tree, new street trees, building our street tree canopy, through Phase 1 and Phase 2, we installed 600 new street trees, which really expanded our community's what is called a tree canopy, which has many benefits, which we've talked about as well. So this last install, phase 2, was last fall, which means this summer will be the first year for what is termed young tree care. And when there are weeks where there is no rain and the temperatures are at a particular level, those trees need care to protect the $500,000 that we put into this program and some of the other investments that we made in neighborhoods. This exceeds what our staff is able to do. And so we are asking that once again, this last expenditure for NED and close out this program and enjoy the benefits of it for decades and generations to come. We issued a request for proposals for tree watering, our arborist, and because the landscaping company, Brian Christian Landscaping, that we selected from the proposals last year, because now they know all the routes, they know all of the how-tos, can do it more efficiently. So they actually came in. We have fewer trees, but they came in lower. And lowest, and then also even lower than last year because they know the roads. So I'm asking for the trustees to authorize me and our road superintendent Dustin to once again enter into a contract. The price this year, $44,676, and this would be a first reading and a dispense with the second. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, I just want to make one comment here, and that is that I went to an event recently over in Fairfax at Mac's Pizza Pub. It was an NCAA event honoring Sam Telkamp, the young lady in Fairfax that's got ALS. It was, I mean, I'm not exaggerating, probably 4 or 5 people that both lived in Marymount and lived in our township just stop me and just say the things you guys are doing in the township, the landscaping on the roads along Wooster Pike, the trees, everything. I mean, they're like, you guys are killing it. You guys are really setting the standard and the services and everything. And I just said, that's great. I love to hear it. And I want to make sure I share that with everybody in the staff, that the things we do, sometimes you wonder how well they translate, but it gives you a lot of pride. And I think everybody, the more they continue to hear it, again, the harder the guys work, it's all contagious. So just kudos. I think all that stuff is paying off. Just at least wanted to remark on that as we pass it. And with that, I make a motion. Do we approve? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokamp?
Yes.
I make a motion. We dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokamp?
Yes.
I'm getting better. More
First and the
efficient.
second.
That was really good.
I'm proud.
So there's a little melancholy for me with that program. It was a significant amount of work and could not have done it without Dustin, and could not have done it with the resources, without the significant resources that the trustees put to it. But that idea came from this trustee board.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate when you have the best interest of the community at heart and are united in your decision making. So thank you for that. That one feels like a big win for the community and for us. All right, final resolution 2411, authorizing an agreement for professional services for exterior property maintenance code compliance, authorizing the administrator to enter into an agreement with Harry Holbert Jr. and dispensing with the second reading. So in June of 2010, so here we are, at 2024, the trustees adopted a exterior property maintenance code. And in 2016, the need in the community rose to the level where we needed someone to respond to concerns with properties that were not being maintained, as well as the neighboring properties. The neighbors are setting the standards, and to respect the neighbor's investment, we want to make sure that if we have absentee landlords or we have a vacant house or whatever the reason is, that we have them adhere to the same standards as the other people are taking care of their homes. We've talked extensively about how it contributes to safety and security and also quality of life in the neighborhoods and also property values. So this is important. Unfortunately, this is unfunded. There's not a levy that provides for property maintenance code, but the trustees have continued to support an annual contract that we've held with Sycamore Township for $14,400, $1,200 per month. Last year, Sycamore's planning zoning director went to become administrator Delhi Township, and we lost the contract at that time. We have been able to handle some of the worst violations, but it's not something that I can continue to do on top of my regular role. We had the opportunity to bring in on an interim contract basis, and I did so as the administrator initially last month, Harry Holbert Jr., who actually was working for Sycamore in that capacity and was the person who set up our system through the Sycamore contract back when we originally entered into that contract. And the planets aligned. We were able to get him for a period of several months, and so I'm asking the trustees to allow me to have him continue until he transitions back into a full-time position. And he's amazing. Knows the law, knows the program, and already has proven his worth. And so this is an hourly contract not to exceed $14,400, which is was the budget appropriation for the Sycamore contract, which we have not been using. So I said to him, work as many hours as you can, get us up to speed. Let's take care of this backlog, and we'll just use the entire year's worth, and then we'll take it from there. So this one I am asking the trustees to pass this evening as well through a dispense, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I make a motion that we approve. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokaw?
Yes.
I make a motion we dispense with the second reading. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Make a motion what?
That we dispense with the second reading, Terry.
Do-
Motion?
I
And
make a
second. You got
motion.
it?
Yeah.
You got it.
I'll make a second.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokaw?
Yes.
Okay, now the pupil's teaching the
You're
master.
making the motion?
Yeah. Okay,
Jerry.
I make a motion, we approve
makes
the
you go
payment
first.
of bills, bank reconciliation, and financial reports. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokaw?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion of the signing of minutes and resolutions. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokaw?
Yes.
And one more shout out to Bridget Kelly and her family. Thoughts and prayers, and also to the people of Madison Place that have been harmed by this flood. We're thinking about you, so
Keep going.
just keep it coming. So, okay, and with that, I make a motion, we adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
Mr. Kubicki?
Yes.
Mr. Brokaw?
Yes.
Okay?